This is Morning Juice. Sports, insight, and great storytelling. Starring Bobby Carpenter and Jeff Tito Thidoff. It's time to attack and dominate.
Indeed, that's the plan today. Attack and dominate. It is a Thursday. Good morning, Bobby. Good morning, Shark. How are you boys doing today?
I'm doing well. Doing well, man. It's Thirsty Thursday, first day of the weekend, so feeling good about this.
Sharky?
Everybody is working for the weekend. Loverboy told me. And I'm a lover boy.
81,
if
right?
you say so. I wasn't alive for that. Kidding me?
The best part is Shark is going to be living in a perpetual weekend here in less than a month. Living the dream, dude. Every day is a Saturday.
Yes! Thanks, Bob.
How about, will you lose track of days, you think, when you retire?
Yeah, what day is this, Wednesday or Saturday?
That's what I'm saying. Everybody made fun of old Grandpa Joe for that. But, I mean, once
it's
you
Meatloaf
retire,
Day at the MCL. It must be Wednesday.
Yes. Don't forget the butterscotch pudding.
Right. Big show lineup for you today. 2 full hours right here on YouTube. As we always do, the Fan app. You always download the show anytime. Catch us from 10 a.m. to noon on 10 TV Plus. If you missed us, want to go back and check that out. Bobby, we are 56 days until the Pro Football Hall of Fame games, 79 until the first 4 college football games, 86 days till Ohio State, Texas, 91 days till the start of the NFL. You can join us for the inaugural 97.1 The Fan, the race presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center. It's a 5K run and a 1-mile walk happening June 21st at Audubon University in Westerville. Some of your favorite fan personalities will be there, including Tyvis Powell, Common Man, T-Bone, Eric Reeser, and more. And yes, 10 TV's Adam King will be running the race in a suit and tie.
Is Tyvis going to run?
I don't know if Tyvis will run. I'm guessing no. I'm guessing no.
I mean, he's a young guy.
Listen,
the prime of his life.
Look, I love Tyvis.
Early 30s.
Yeah, I love Tyvis. But Tyvis is he's not at his playing weight. Let's put it that way.
That's a choice he's made.
I understand. I don't. He's working out. I don't anticipate him running. No.
Okay.
Every participant gets a finisher's medal.
That's important.
A race shirt.
Make sure you hang on to that one.
Free photos and awesome gifts from Logan Services, Raising Cane's.
I always love is that getting an award for just buying something.
Just showing up. The inaugural 97.1 The Fan, the race presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center and sponsored by Impact Health and Wellness, specializing in regenerative medicine, weight loss, and hormone therapy to help define your wellness goals. I said decline. That would not have been the way to say it. Define your wellness goals. Sign up today at 971thefan.com. Breer's going to join us 640 today. We've got so much to talk about. The Reds fell to the Brewers yesterday 9-1. They're off today. They will host Arizona on Friday. Hunter Green go to the IL with a groin injury. Reds re-sign Wade Miley. Guards over the Yankees 4-0. They wrap up their series tonight in New York at 7:05. Shark, did you watch that game?
Of course I watched that game.
Okay, I don't know. I know you watch every game.
All 162.
I know you do. But I didn't know if you watched it last night or if you catch up
from
on
the first pitch to the last. Live.
That's a sickness. You watched it live?
Sure.
When do you sleep?
Yesterday I slept from about 3 to 6 and then 11 to 3.
Okay. NHL game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Edmonton 4, Florida 3 in overtime. Florida had a 3-1 lead in that game before Edmonton rallied back and won it in OT. NBA game 1 of the finals tonight. Indiana at Oklahoma City. That's at 8:30. All right, that's what happened in sports yesterday. And now we're going back to further yesterdays, like yesterday-ers. And let's get smart with Bobby.
Time to get smarter. Morning Juice presents Today in History. Here's your professor, Bobby Carpenter.
All right, Bobby, I got us going right at 6:04, because I want to hear a lot of stuff.
You know, someone once said that yesterday seemed so far away.
Is that the Beatles?
All his troubles were so far away.
That's what it was, yeah.
Now they're back and they're here to stay.
Yes.
So he believes in yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you could not believe in yesterday?
Man, what does Schlegel say? Yesterday's
the past.
Oh,
tomorrow's. Go ahead.
No, see, I know that. Yeah, today's a present and all that stuff. Tomorrow's never promised, something like that. Yeah, whatever it is.
Yesterday's in the past.
Yeah.
Tomorrow
what? Tomorrow's not the gift.
Tomorrow's
that's why it's called the present.
Today is a gift. That's why it's called
Something
the present.
like
that's the same thing that rat said in
Kung Fu Panda.
Yes. So Schlegel is now
Master
quoting
Oogway.
Master Oogway. Was he a rat? What was he?
I don't know. I thought
He was some animal with whiskers that was short. It wasn't Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles guy.
well,
It wasn't that guy. It wasn't. Yeah.
I can't even think of who that was now. What his name is?
Which one? The Turtles or
Turtles? Master Splinter.
Splinter. That's right.
Gosh.
That's what it was. Yes, Turtles in a half shell. Turtle power.
Digging through a lot
That's
of
what you get
malted
here.
hops and bone
Yes.
resin to get that out of there. Full Tommy Boy mode. By the way, yesterday was the 30-year, I guess, anniversary of the release of Tommy Boy. Came out in 1995.
That's
Classic.
a classic. Yes,
Yeah.
that is. Yeah.
And then they're like,
Two-star classic.
no, I guess it was. And the guy was like, no, that's 20 years. I'm like, no, 95 is 30 years.
It was also the 51st anniversary of 10 Cent Beer Night yesterday.
I saw that. That's pretty exciting there for the tribesmen. It is June 5th, the 156th day of the year, 209 days remaining in this 2025. This date, 1817, the Frontenac, the first Great Lakes steamer, is launched. Shark refers to that as the Cleveland steamer.
Bobby, it was Lake Erie?
Great Lakes.
Nope.
So it was roaming around everywhere.
Lake Grand St. Mary's could have been that too.
I don't
Great
think
Lakes.
so.
I don't think that's one of the
Yeah,
Great
Great
Lakes.
Lakes,
sure.
It's a Grand Lake. There's a difference there.
Look it up.
This date, 1851, Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin starts its 10-month run in the New Era abolitionist newspaper. Did you get some sound from that,
I
Shark?
did not. I went to Barnes & Noble back then to find a copy, and they didn't have it.
Or Barnes and Nobles, as Schleggs would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have more of them, the better.
Yes.
1883, the first regularly scheduled run of the Orient Express departs. Now, this back in the day when they referred to the East as the Orient, going as far east as Istanbul, it would run through Spain and France. It started in Paris, and it ran all the way to Istanbul and go through Spain and Italy and everywhere else. And its last run was 2009. So it
amazing.
began in 1883 and ran until 2009. But listen, who wouldn't want a little train ride from Paris down to Istanbul, the gateway to the east? This date, it's the city that lives in two continents, Shark.
You're right about that. It used to be
Constantinople.
Noble.
Istanbul was Constantinople.
Yeah.
When you guys do this, I feel like that, like a kid again, when my parents are talking about something, politics I know nothing about or something. 'Cause you guys are talking about this side, I have no idea.
There was once a man that I knew that said he tried to learn something new every day.
I do. I learned something every day from you guys. I do. But I'm just saying, that's how I feel like when you guys talk about the continents and Istanbul. And
Did you know that Turkey was covered two continents?
the only turkey I knew about was the one we had on Thanksgiving.
Do you know what two continents?
Yes.
What?
No. I know what two continents are, but I don't know which ones.
Asia and Europe.
Asia and Europe. There we go.
Cheesy Pete's.
The continent over on Bush Boulevard was also another one.
Yes.
That is.
That's more my speed there. Let's talk about
Speaking of
that.
yesterday, that was
Wally's
the place
Cruising
to be.
Tunes. Yes. The French Market. Come on.
The French Market. Put the Pink Pony Club over there for you, fit off. This date, 1917, conscription begins in the U.S. Army, as known as Army Registration Day. Fit off, what reason do you think they had conscription day in 1917?
In 1917, they were trying to get you in the war. They were trying to pull
Which
you
war?
in.
What war was the war? What war was that?
Oh, it's a big one. It's World War I.
First known as the Great War.
By the way, what does that constitute to be called a world war? 'Cause not everybody in the world was in the war. Like, is there a certain number you have to have?
Well, I think that was the known world then. It was most of Europe and Russia against Germany. Now there was some of Africa pulled in. They pulled us in from. It was a multi-continental war, I guess.
That's what I
if you
mean,
will.
yeah, but it doesn't really roll off the tongue that way.
So World War sounds better.
Did you hear Norm Macdonald's take on that when he said the country he fears most? It's not, North Korea.
It's the Germans.
It's the Germans because they declared war on the world and then they did it again.
Oh yeah, it's a good little bit by him. This date, 1956, Elvis Presley, while on the Milton Burrows show for the first time, sings his new song "Hound Dog" to a hound dog.
New singing sensation all over the country, Elvis Presley. Come on, bring it on. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. How about my boy? How about him? Come on. I don't know what you're screaming about. I want it the way they're flipping their lids, these girls down here. Really.
I want to tell you that beat with your foot is absolutely sensational. I want to ask you something, Elvis. If I did that thing the same way you did it, do you think I could get all the girls the way you do?
Well, you might not have to get girls, but at your age, it'll keep your blood circulating.
The most unfunny comedian in history, Milton Berle.
I'd put Bob Hope up there too.
But either one of those guys alive?
No.
No.
Milton Berle was known for something else too, Bobby.
What?
Yeah. I'm not going to say it. Yeah.
If he was known for it.
We're on TV. I shouldn't do that.
No, it's all right though. He was known for being blessed in a certain
Region.
Call it being hung.
I'm not going to say that, though, Bobby.
But not by a rope.
Okay.
That's not how he died?
No, that's not how he died.
They think there's still a couple of states out west that's their preferred
Is it? That's their method of execution?
method of execution, being hung. Or at least that's one of the options. This day, 1961, Running Scared by Roy Orbison hits number 1.
Just running scared. Each place we go.
I've never, ever, ever heard that song.
Me either.
And it was number 1.
If you would have told me that was Elvis, I would have believed you.
Yeah.
This date, in 1968, RFK is assassinated. I dropped this out there yesterday to Shark. Do you know who he was assassinated
It was
by?
Sirhan. It was in that hotel in California right after, he gave a speech and was walking off. And
Is that what the inspiration was for the Hotel California?
I don't quite
You
believe
can
it
check
was.
out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
Too soon, Bobby. Rosie Greer, former NFL player, was one of RFK's bodyguards.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was there. In the picture you see with RFK on the ground, you can see Rosie Greer in the background.
Wait till you hear who else was there.
Senator Kennedy has been shot. Is that possible? Is that possible? It could. Is it possible, ladies and gentlemen? It is possible. He has not only Senator Kennedy. Oh my God, Senator Kennedy has been shot, and another man, a Kennedy campaign manager, and possibly shot in the head. I am right here. Rafer Johnson has a hold of a man who apparently has fired the shot. That's it, Rafer. Get it. Get the gun, Rafer. Okay, now hold on to the guy. Hold on to him. Hold him. We don't want another Oswald.
That's the
We don't
reporter.
want another- I was going to say, is he coaching
He
them?
was live there in the kitchen of the hotel. And Rafer Johnson, who was, of course, an Olympic gold medalist, was the one who wrapped his arms around Sirhan.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I am so glad I was not alive during that time. Like the 63 JFK, 68 MLK, and RFK assassin. I can't imagine.
A couple years ago, they killed that man's brother.
I don't. That would have been really hard to be
It would have
alive
been.
in that time.
I watched the JFK movie.
The
There was
Oliver
some
Stone?
sort of I don't know when. There's some sort of document. It was like a biopic. I'm trying to think who was in it. It was actually not about him. It was called Jacqueline.
Okay.
I don't know when it came out. I stumbled onto it drunk one Saturday night, and it's about 2 hours long. It was a little bit of a slog, but it popped up there. It was pretty good. It was very good. It was about her dealing with the funeral and everything else that went along with it and how they were going to remember it and what they wanted to do and the walking and the procession and everything else and how they were worried about his brother walking in it.
The backwards boots on the horse that carried his body. She figured this all out in like 48 hours.
Yeah.
Jackie did.
The backwards boots. I don't know about that.
So the horse didn't have a rider, but they had boots in the stirrups.
Okay. Oh, I
facing
see what you're saying.
backwards.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. It was wild that they were able to do that. And it's basically like, I think a little before that, and there's some flashbacks with it, but it's her relationship with Bobby and how that works. So, yeah, it was crazy. You would like it, Shark. Historically, there's a lot of stuff in it. This date, 1971, You've Got a Friend by James Taylor is released.
All you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yeah. You've got a friend.
Oh, yeah.
Mid to late 70s, every school choir sang that song.
That's good. But you were no choir boy, were you, Thidoff?
I really was not. No.
Absolutely. Literally or figuratively?
Yep. Exactly.
This date, 1981. With about 13 years left in his career, Nolan Ryan becomes the all-time walks leader with 1,777 as a Houston Astro.
No sound of him. No sound of him. I was waiting for you to talk about Nolan Ryan a little bit there, Shark. I wasn't sure.
And how about this one? In this state, 1981, the Morbidity and Mortality Report reports that 5 people in Los Angeles have a rare form of pneumonia that was basically immune to any type of treatment. Later, they found out that pneumonia was
COVID.
AIDS. HIV.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
In 81.
81. And so they're trying to treat them. They're talking like these guys have this rare form. Can't get.
Holy cow.
Nothing's working on them. And yeah. So what was that, 44 years ago today? That came out. And then this date, 2004, we'll save that for the end. This date, 1883, John Maynard Keynes, the famed father of Keynesian economics, was born. 1920, Marion Motley. First team All-Pro twice, second team All-Pro twice, an NFL champion in 1950.
My dad was starting up the Browns in 46, and he brought in Marion. I was 12 years old, and I'll tell you, when you have a hero when you're 12 years old, he's a hero that you have for the rest of your life. The great players of any era can play in any other era, and Marion was one of those. If he walked in today, he'd start for any team in the league. In his era, I think he was the best of the fullbacks.
Counting his 4 years in the old All-America Football Conference and 5 in the NFL, Marion Motley averaged 5.7 yards per carry. Still the highest career average among running backs in pro football history.
It's pretty impressive when you're able to have a record like that still stands.
He was huge. He was like 238. He was bigger than most NFL linemen.
Yeah, at that time.
And what's amazing is when people watched a lot of it, because he was there with Otto Graham, correct?
Yep.
And they assumed that Jim Brown was the quarterback or running back for Otto Graham, but Jim Brown came in after that. Did he overlap with Graham for a year or two, Brown?
I don't think so.
He didn't.
Yeah.
Did he? Who was a
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Some other birthdays. Robert Kraft, the Patriots owner, turning 84 today.
You're watching WBZ TV Boston.
The New England Patriots are staying right here in Massachusetts.
As News 4 was the first to report today, the Pats will be sold to Bob Kraft, the owner of Foxborough Stadium.
Some people think it's pretty silly to spend so much money just for a game. But this game holds the attention of this community and communities throughout this country from August to January in a way that's hard to explain if you're not into it. And it really impacts the psyche and the fabric of the community. And this is my hometown, and I just believe this hometown wouldn't have been the same if this team had left here.
Oh, I was hoping when I heard the Boston
I know. I thought you were going.
We were going to take a ride to the Orchids of Asia.
Yeah, I guess not.
Unfortunately. Turning 69 today, famed saxophonist Kenny G. Oh, yeah.
Banger.
Dude can't sing.
It's a real toe tapper.
I know all the words to that song.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a nice one, though. It's amazing because that melody is very famous. And
that was his biggest hit. I can't think of the name of it.
Oh, Shark.
I had to look it up yesterday.
Even Jan light some candles.
Oh, yeah.
Get some
rose
petals. Oh,
no Miami Vice theme?
What is that's
Miami
not
Vice
him.
theme? No, I'm saying it's not him, though. I'm saying that's more of a banger than that, though. I'd play Miami Vice theme, yeah.
Well, no, the Shark wants to play that, but he dresses up
yes.
like Ron Johnson. Not Ron.
Ron Johnson or Don Johnson.
Don Johnson, Ron's brother.
You got the shoes with no socks.
He's got a white sport coat
sport
with a teal shirt underneath, looking sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Ron Livingston of Office Space, Band of Brothers, turning 58 years young.
We're just talking about you. You must be Peter Gibbons. I'm Bob Slidell. This is my associate, Bob Porter.
Hi, Bob. Bob, would you walk us through a typical day for you?
That's my favorite part.
I generally come in at least 15 minutes late. I use the side door. That way Lumberg can't see me. And after that, I just sort of space out for about an hour.
Space out?
Yeah. I just stare at my desk. But it looks like I'm working. I do that for probably another hour after lunch, too. I'd say in a given week, I probably only do about 15 minutes of real, actual work. It's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
What do you mean space out? I just sit there and stare at my computer. It looks like I'm working. I'm really not.
First time I saw that movie, I remember I was sitting on the couch with Artie, and I let him actually watch it with me. I thought it was pretty good. I saw it a couple years ago.
And then he goes, Dad, I want to make $1 million.
Just a couple years ago was the first time I caught that. It is a good movie.
I'm shocked that you watched it.
It's classic.
Fall asleep during it?
No, not that one. Not like Gladiator. Gladiator's the one you fall asleep during. That one's just like...
I don't know how you could fall asleep during Gladiator.
It just didn't do it for me.
You are remarkable. I feel like Artie would like Gladiator.
Artie probably would like Gladiator. He probably would, yes.
That would be perfect for him. Some other birthdays. Mark Wahlberg, also known as Marky Mark, turning 54.
This is Mark Wahlberg. We're going to talk about what's real Boston slang. Now, a hoodsie referred to as a young lady. We had a whole crew of hoodsies. Nice girls. Packy, a liquor store, a package store. My dad used to go every day to the package store, get some coffee brandy, a 6-pack of Schlitz. The Garden, yes. This is where the Celtics played and won a lot of championships. Clicker, yeah, that's a remote control for your TV. Jimmy's. That's universal, isn't it? Jimmy's, condoms. The Monster. I think they're probably referring to the Green Monster. Donkeys. That would be Dunkin' Donuts. Bang a Yui. That would be turning around. Banging a Yui.
That's remarkable. Get some donkeys. Bang a Yui. Boston, I didn't know what you were going to get because there's a lot in his catalog. I mean, you could have got some with him in the Funky Bunch.
I know. I wanted Good Vibrations. I was hoping for
some
there.
Good Vibrations there. You could have had something from
Come on.
Boogie Nights. That's
Speaking of Milton Berle.
I'm the biggest star here. That's great. You have seen Boogie Nights though, Shark.
Just the good parts.
What do you define as the good parts?
I think we know what the good parts were.
Well, it's up for interpretation. Maybe when he was outside that parking lot, when he was in the car.
I'm not going to do it.
Hey, man, when you're willing to do anything to survive, I appreciate that.
Family show.
Turning 39 today, former Buckeye and first-round pick Vernon Golston.
Vernon's a sophomore from Detroit. And Kirk, he's having a heck of a day.
Yeah, he's been probably the biggest surprise for the Ohio State defense this year. He's just going to overpower Jake Long, come to his inside shoulder. Then he goes through the back, Mike Hart, and still kicks to Chad Henne.
That's an explosive movement, isn't it?
An explosive movement.
Was he a freshman when you were a senior?
Yeah, we played
1 year.
He redshirted that year, so he stayed for 4. I think. I can't remember, but I do know this: he played 3 seasons in the NFL. And
number 6 pick, right, by the Jets.
Yeah, and had 0 sacks.
Yeah,
wow,
it's pretty impressive for as physically gifted as he was. Vernon, I think, had a little bit in common with Ron Livingston.
Show 15 minutes late.
Work ethic wasn't so strong.
I mean, he just didn't. He was unmotivated. Didn't care. Like if you could get him gassed up, he was ready to go.
He's a guy that made a lot of money at the combine.
Well, his senior year, he had a lot of production.
Yeah.
Or his final season at Ohio State. Like he was the only one that actually made plays in that Florida game.
Bob, it's not that I'm lazy. I just don't care.
Yeah, that was really it. This state passing away in 2018, Kate Spade. And then in 2004, the 40th President of the United States passing away at 93 years young, Ronald Reagan.
This is an NBC News special report.
Good day from NBC News headquarters in New York. The Associated Press is reporting at this hour that former President Ronald Reagan has died. Death apparently came moments ago at his California home, surrounded by family, most of whom flew in the overnight hours, after the former president's health went into a steep decline over just the past several days. Ronald Reagan was the oldest former president in American history. He was 93 years old when he died today. He has been out of the public eye for most of the past decade since announcing to the whole world he had Alzheimer's.
His final public appearance was in 1997. So we never saw him. What'd you say, 2004 he died?
Yeah.
Wow.
Last 7 years of his life, we never saw him.
Which is amazing that he lived 10 years with Alzheimer's because most people don't, I feel like, live more than 3 to 5 with that. 93, I know that you know this answer. He passed away at 93. At that point was the oldest living president of all time that has since been surpassed?
I would say by Bush, right?
Come on, man.
Who is it?
Shark, let him know.
Jimmy.
He just passed away last year. He was 90.
Not James Buchanan.
Right, yeah, you're talking about the peanut guy.
Earl Carter.
Right, yeah.
From Plains, Georgia.
How old? Well,
he didn't reach 100, did he?
No, he died in 99.
Did, yeah. That's a good point, yeah.
Him and Bob Dole were battling to see who could live the longest. They were both in their, I don't think Dole was quite as old as him, but he was in his mid to upper 90s as well.
And Joe is 80.
Early 80s.
He's not going to make
early
it.
80s.
He's not going to make it.
I say that record's safe for right now.
It is. Jimmy Carter, I mean, because he went to...
He had a whole career after he left the White House.
I'm trying to think. Jimmy Carter he went to his wife's funeral. And
yes, he was in a hospital bed.
They wheeled him in a hospital
Was he really?
bed. Oh, he looked very, very rough. Some holidays observances. It's Apple II Day. It's Hot Air Balloon Day. It is National Gingerbread Day, National Moonshine Day, National Veggie Burger Day, Sausage Roll Day, and World Environment Day. And those are your historical events, your birthdays, your passings, your holidays, observances. For this date, June 5th, 156th day of the year, 209 days remaining in this 2025.
The Buckeyes made some changes to future football schedules, and Ryan Day weighs in on the CFP. That's next. Morning Juice.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, Teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for and there they go. Almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff. Like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the
right seat. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Around the world, Children International and friends like you are giving children in poverty a chance to grow and thrive, to be healthy, to succeed in school, and achieve great things. How do we do it? In the best way possible, by helping ensure access to healthcare, nutrition, and educational opportunities. And most importantly, by empowering youths and their families to get out of poverty and into employment through life skills, computer, and job training. The very tools they need to break the cycle of poverty and build futures full of promise. Because every child deserves a chance to realize their full and best potential. Learn more about how Children International is empowering children and families by going to children.org today. That's children.org.
Bobby Carpenter, husband, father, Buckeye. Jeff Thidoff, husband, father, idiot. This is Morning Juice.
All right, it's Morning Juice. It's Tito, it's Bobby, it's Mark the Shark. Thanks for tuning in today. Thank you to all the chatters there. Our loyal juicers in the YouTube chat. Appreciate that.
They do. And you know what? Yesterday, Court and I do a date lunch, and it's, we used to go to this little, we do it either at a local cantina, and then we started working in the rotation this little sushi place over in Kinsale or Kingsdale, and they unfortunately closed that down. It was so good too, and so now we'll kind of get some Chipotle every now and then. We went there, got Chipotle yesterday, and there was a gentleman there when I was getting my cup of water and my little plastic eating utensil that came up and said, "Hey, we're filling water." He's like, really like the new show. And I was like, "Oh, okay. That sounds pretty great." So, I mean, apparently it is getting somewhere and heard by someone.
Heard by someone, yes. Well, look, our chatters are listening. We've always got a healthy number of people in chat room, which I love.
It is. And today was a big day, and I didn't mention this. I wanted to make sure I gave it its own deal. Today is my mother's birthday as well. So I wanted to wish my mother, Susie, a happy birthday. She'll still be working. Shark, you know what she does is she works for free now for everything.
Yeah.
No one even pays her. She just volunteers for everything. So
good for her.
It'll be awesome. I know that you're retiring from getting paid, but you can still come in and just do the work.
Are we going to announce Susie's age today?
Well, she's a year younger than my father.
Okay.
And he just celebrated his 70th birthday. So if
do
anybody...
the math.
It might be a little high for Thidoff, but...
I don't know. Well, we can't do that.
So she was married... Her birthday's June 5th. She turned 21 6 days before her wedding, and they were married on June 11th. So this will be, what is that?
Wait a minute. So he finished college, and she was just a junior?
Yeah, she graduated. She graduated a year early.
Oh, she's very smart.
Yeah, she took like 20 hours
She
for
is
the last
Thidoff
2 years.
smart.
Yeah.
Pellegrini smart. My wife graduated high school at 17.
Yeah. Well, both
So
my
did
parents
I.
were 17, but when they graduated. Well, I guess my dad just turned 18, but yeah, she graduated college I remember doing that math. It's like, so how'd you finish? She's like, I took 20 hours the last 2 years I was there. I think she actually had to get written permission to take 22 one time. And it's like, hey, my boyfriend, I'm getting ready to get married. I'm leaving with him, and all this stuff. So, like, to be able to graduate on the same time. But yeah, so big happy
Good for
birthday
her.
to Georgia. Her middle name's Heather, so she might be of interest to you.
Hey now.
Georgianne Heather Carpenter, but goes by Susie. Why? Because my Uncle Bill called her that. That's the only reason. So her friends in high school, I can always tell where she met her friends when people come up, oh, how's your mom doing, this and that. And her friends in college call her Georgianne because that was her birth name. Her friends in high school all call her Susie because that's what my uncle called her, and that's what everyone called her in Lancaster.
I got into I don't say a little trouble, but the other day I was calling. I can't remember what I was calling about, but it was an account that we had set up, and there's different security levels you have on that with they'll ask you birth date, address, whatever kind of stuff, And one of the questions they asked me because Heather had set it up, and it said the question was, "What's her mother's maiden name?" And I didn't know it.
What? How do you not know your wife's mother's maiden name?
Because I never called her that.
I understand that, but you don't.
So anyway, so I'm just saying.
Shark, do you know Jan's mom's maiden name?
Of course I do.
Look, I'm just telling you that I didn't. That's one of those things I just didn't have in my mind. Like they said, "What's your mother-in-law's maiden name?" And I said, let's think about this one. And I gave a couple of guesses. They weren't right.
Come
so I didn't
on.
get through. No, I didn't.
Do you know your mother's maiden name?
Well, yeah, I know that one.
Okay.
Because it was Grandma and Grandpa Warden. Yeah, that's what I called them their whole lives. I've never called Heather's mom by her maiden name. I've never said Mrs. Even when I met them, it wasn't like, it wasn't that. But
her parents had that same last name. Did you never meet them?
She was adopted.
Oh, okay.
Let's bring that up.
All
You
right.
want to open that can of worms?
Well, no,
that's good. Let's talk about
That's
something
understandable. I just called the Social Security Administration yesterday, and they were asking me, to identify myself, and they said, "What is your mother's maiden name?"
Right.
Didn't ask me my mother-in-law's.
Because Heather had set it up. That's what screwed it up. So I had to back out. Then I had to call my wife and say, "Hey, what's your mother's maiden name?" She's like, "What do you mean? You don't know that?" And yeah, that turned into a big thing there as well. It's just stuff I didn't need to know till that moment. No one has ever asked me that question before that moment.
Do you know both of your grandmother's maiden names?
No. Well, I know one side, not the other one.
Okay.
I think I might.
I think I might know.
I'm not sure. They're all
This
dead.
is amazing.
No, it won't come up now.
Of course they're dead.
Well, I'm saying it won't come up now, but I'm saying Look, Einstein one time was asked what his phone number was. He had to get a phone book to look it up. And they asked him why. He said, I never call myself. Okay? So I'm like Einstein in that regard. It's not something I needed to know, so I never learned it.
The funny thing about that is I don't know anybody's phone number anymore.
I've still got a bunch of them memorized. Like, you have your youth ones like you were as a kid?
Yeah.
I've still got some of those too.
I know all the ones I knew as a kid. And I still have my mom's because she got it before I had a cell phone, so I had to learn it.
I still know Kelsey Albertson's.
And I know my wife's because in case I ever needed to call her at some point, I always had that down. And then also now for all of the verification stuff,
yes,
you put that in. So yes, so I know that. And
you know Thidoff's phone number?
Not Thidoff's, my wife's.
Oh, okay.
Probably Thidoff's wife's phone number.
Well,
that's what we asked about that. You said you don't have saved your phone, which I took that as a sign of respect, and I appreciate that. I've got your wife's in my phone though.
You know, it's funny. I saw this thing by Ryan Reynolds. He's like, if you ask a woman for their phone number, you give it to them, read it back to them, and change one number and see if they correct you.
Well, then you know, yeah.
He's like, then you know they really wanted you to have it.
That's a great point right there.
Robert Reynolds probably graduated in 3 years.
He probably did. You're right. That's genius right there.
Wisdom like that.
Yes, that's very smart. Last night when I was tucking Artie in, and he said he had like the youth football camp at the high school, and he said, Dad, somebody asked me how old you and Mom are. I told him you were 54 and Mom's going to be 50, and they said you guys are really old. Heather heard that, and Heather's like, whoa, I'll be 49 this year, not 50. And then that turned into a big thing. But, yeah, I guess we're on the older end, I guess, of kids are going into third grade, parents.
Yeah, Tito, when you're having kids in your 40s, you're going to be the oldest parent in the class.
I know. Look, dude, every time.
Oh, no.
Yes.
No. Al Pacino said hold his beer.
No, it's fine. Okay. Okay, it's fine. When I was, we were at a women's basketball game, and Artie was kind of running around, and I was like, Artie, come on back here. I'm kind of trying to keep up with him. And one of the ushers says, oh, that's so nice seeing you play with your grandson like that.
Yes.
That hurts.
You know, we're not going to get to this.
The truth hurts, though.
The truth does hurt. That's fine. I'll accept. Yeah, you're right, though. I'll be the only guy in the wheelchair at the graduation that's a parent. We'll talk about all this other football stuff later on, I promise. We got kind of sidetracked there. Let's get Albert Breer on next. We'll do that on Morning Juice.
While serving in Vietnam, a grenade took my ability to see. Today, I'm a sculptor. Now, my fingers are my eyes. I'm Michael Naranjo. As a veteran, I know the challenges of life can be great. In my art, turning a lump of clay into something beautiful, that is worth doing. Life is like that. We each must use what we can to make things better.
DAV helps veterans like Michael get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year in life-changing ways.
Now, I show others how they can create something with their own hands. I know it can do a lot of good. With support from DAV, more veterans can shape their lives into a thing of beauty. My victory is bringing beauty into the world.
Michael Naranjo, may your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
We are the keepers of the wild, America's original and most invested conservationists. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving wildlife and the natural landscapes that define our nation. From rugged alpine ridgelines to peaceful tall grass prairies, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. Our funding has led to cleaner water, fresher air, and improved wildlife habitat. From abundant fish and waterfowl populations to robust deer and elk herds, nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, stewards of the American outdoors.
America's hunters and target shooters, along with firearm, ammunition, and archery manufacturers, have invested more than $46 billion to help state fish and wildlife agencies manage and protect wildlife and wildlands across America. For more information, visit OutdoorStewards.org.
You know a thing or two about the moments in life that matter. You've seized those moments to embrace joy, accomplish great things, and build meaningful relationships. Is it time now to sit back and reflect on a life well lived? Maybe. Or maybe there's more to be done. Maybe this is the most important moment you've encountered yet. By volunteering with AmeriCorps Seniors, you can seize the moment, lend a hand, and get back more than you give. We connect you to local volunteer organizations with opportunities that fit your schedule and match your interests. Through AmeriCorps Seniors, you can support people in times of need and make your community stronger. You can become a companion to your older neighbors, brightening their days with friendship. You can even become a mentor for young people, serving as a role model and enriching their lives. Are you ready to seize your moment? Visit AmeriCorps.gov/yourmoment and get started today.
We built a brand new studio just for Bobby, and Tito has already ruined it just by being here. I'm pregnant. This is Morning Juice.
All right, Morning Juice. It is Tito. It is Bobby. It is Shark. We'll have Albert Breer on here shortly. We got him now. Shark, we good?
I think we're good. I see him.
Albert Breer joins us. Good. Is he sweaty?
Yeah, probably.
I got you.
Is he sweaty? That's the question, because I can't see him over here yet.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you now. There we go. Look at this.
Actually, by special request from Bobby last night. Yeah, he thinks I'm sending a good message to Columbus by coming on, dripping sweat every week. I'm showing the importance of exercise, helping a lot of people out there.
Albert, the motto for the Army used to be, we do more before 9 a.m. than most people do all day. Breer does more before 7 a.m. than most people do all day. He 2 hours up the Army there, Bobby, on that one.
I like it. You
know what sucks, though, is like it's my kid, my oldest, has his school starts at 7:45. So we have early mornings, and you guys have actually helped me kind of get my ass out of bed a little earlier.
Well, we're happy to help.
That was
out.
The goal.
That was the goal.
I got to fit it in at some point. It's hard, like once, because our kids at their school. But that's the other thing is their start times for school are staggered.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter goes to preschool. Her preschool doesn't start till 9:15. So our whole there's like an hour and a half window there of drop off and getting kids ready and all of that. So. This also helps me get out of some of that. So that's good too.
Well, let's say, we're here to help, Albert, whatever we can do with your marital bliss and your physical fitness. We try to get that done. One of the big stories or things that happened, the passing of NFL legend Jim Marshall. And I was blown away, Albert, to see that he wasn't in the Hall of Fame, he's 22nd in sacks and playing in an era where no one really threw the ball. The fact that he's got the consecutive game streak. Are you a believer that he will eventually get in by the Veterans Commission or the second tier of that, I guess?
Can I tell you something, Bobby? I didn't know he's not in the Hall of Fame either until just now. So I'm not in the committee. That's hard to believe. It really is. I sort of think of of Jim Marshall the same way I think of Leon Lett, where sometimes they're remembered for the wrong thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just one play kind of has taken over what everyone remembers about them, especially people who didn't get to watch them play. And honestly, I would probably be in that group if I didn't do what I do for a living, and had to know some of the things that you just kind of, detailed there, right? Where I think there are a lot of fans of football that know him as the guy who ran the wrong way. The same way a lot of guys remember Leon Lett as the guy who hung the ball out there and got it knocked out by Don Beebe in the Super Bowl, despite the fact Leon Lett was an all-pro defensive tackle, Leon Lett was a damn good football player. I think he was there in Dallas with you, Bobby, right?
I missed him by a little bit, but he was around. Yeah, he would be around helping out.
Yeah, so I think I look at Jim Marshall that way, and I think, again, the consecutive game streak, the ability to get after the passer in an era where it was much more difficult to do that, all the things Bobby detailed. I'm really surprised he's not in the Hall of Fame. That's wild.
Do you think the only reason Kirk Cousins is on the Falcons is because of the salary? If he had a more reasonable salary, if the Falcons agreed to eat a good chunk of it, do you think he'd be gone by now?
Yeah, that's the reason why there have been so few offers for sure. The Browns made an offer at the very beginning of the offseason, but they weren't going to take on very much of his salary. And that's really been the problem. And I think it kind of, opens a window for a lot of us into the way that these things work for NFL teams sometimes, and that the owner is really a part of the process. And these owners take a lot of pride in good business versus bad business, right? What I mean by that is, I think the way Arthur Blank talked to his football people about this was well, there's nothing more important than having insurance at the quarterback position. And I would rather have the guy for 2 years at $100 million than for 1 year at 90, based on the way the guarantee is set up. And so I would gladly pay that tax. If I'm going to pay 90 anyway, I'll pay the $10 million tax to keep him here as a backup and give myself some insurance. Now, that doesn't take into account what that could mean for Michael Penix. If Michael Penix hits some bumps the first month of the season, then is everybody in Atlanta talking about, well, we've got this guy who has, brought 2 different teams to the playoffs sitting on our bench, So there's that. And then I think there's also, the idea that you should do right by Kirk Cousins, and what kind of mindset Kirk Cousins is going to have. He's only been there. He's been in the building less than a handful of times since the offseason started. I think he's only been on the field once. So you have all these different dynamics, but the owner looks at this in kind of a cold business sense. And so because of that, the Falcons haven't been willing to take on very much of his salary in a trade. And I would argue that if you did that, just from my perspective, the way I look at it is you're essentially buying a draft pick, right? We're unloading Kirk, and then the money that we're spending to pay down his salary so somebody else is willing to take it on, well, that's just us buying a 3rd round pick or a 4th round pick or whatever it is from that other team. So that's the way I would personally look at it. But, they've sort of let these deadlines pass. And now I think the only way something's going to happen is if another team gets really desperate. And really, the only way for that to happen is for someone's quarterback situation to go sideways in the summer, right? Where there's either an injury or just somebody looks out on the field and really doesn't like what they see.
Yeah, you could obviously see that, but that, like you said, that's not going to be till camp, and we're curious to see how that ultimately plays out. Or
the Steelers situation. That's the other one.
Yes.
If Aaron decides not to play for them. Joey Bosa signing with Buffalo this offseason. I think kind of has gone a little bit not underreported, but just with all the quarterback movement, maybe hasn't been talked about quite as much. His brother Nick still in San Francisco. San Francisco still in that playoff, championship window. Joey getting a little older. I know, Albert, maybe we talked to you about the potential for him maybe joining his brother Nick. Was there a real possibility of that? And how close was that to actually happening?
Yeah, they looked at it. I think the Niners were sort of in this mode where they were resetting a lot of things in their roster at the time. And I know obviously that they made the move for Bryce Huff this week. Yeah. And so, I think what you're getting is could that have been Joey? Certainly could have been. But I think, the way the Niners looked at it was they've been a little bit older in some of those positions around Nick over the last few years, and it's bit them. Javon Hargrave got hurt, and they had Leonard Floyd there for a year or two, I think it was, and so they've been sort of stopgapping those positions for a while. So they really want to focus on it in the draft, and lo and behold, they take Mikael Williams there at 11, and then they wind up with 3 D linemen in the top 75 picks. And now they double back, and I think one of the reasons you double back if you're them is because Bryce Huff played for Robert Saleh in New York, and he's still young. And I think they look at that as a real distressed asset. They're not going to have to manage Bryce Huff, even though he was hurt last year. They're not going to have to manage him through the year the way they would probably have to manage Joey Bosa through the year. And they might be able to kind of revive him. I know this. Robert Saleh looked at him as the Jets' best, most natural pass rusher in 2023. And they believe he went to a place, in Philly playing for Vic Fangio that was not the right fit for him. And they think he'll be able to revive his career coming back into Saleh's defense. So that was sort of why, I think it was just sort of a timeline thing, Bobby, where, first they're looking to get a lot younger up front, and and then this opportunity comes along, which is sort of separate from what they were looking at with Bosa in March.
Albert Breer joins from MMQB right here on Morning Juice. Last year, there was a resurgence of the running back, and some guys did things that I don't want to say were totally unexpected, but when you see a guy Derrick Henry's age doing what he does, Saquon doing what he did in Philly behind a great offensive line, and then out in San Francisco this year, we've got Christian McCaffrey coming off another injury season for him. Do you see Christian McCaffrey having that kind of resurgence like the other guys did, or some kind of like because I know they're going to rely a lot on him in that offense?
Yeah, it won't be for lack of trying. I think he's obviously, from a work ethic standpoint, top of the heap, and just takes such great care of his body, and has really kind of sought out like some innovative ways to try and extend his career and to try to keep playing. But here's the reality: he's 9 years in, and he has had a lot of high mileage seasons. He's had serious injuries. The injury last year was weird and different. And, you look at all the different things that he's been through, it's just hard based on the wear and tear, the injury history, and kind of the track record of the position to say, yeah, like he's going to be a guy who you're going to get the ball to 20 to 25 times a game. So I do think it's on the Niners to manage that a little bit differently. And I think they're aware of that, McCaffrey's been, really was really durable for the Niners until last year. He had his injuries in Carolina, and this is a guy who's a high volume player in college too. So, I just think you've got to manage him a little bit differently with the knowledge that, his odometer is where it is, and he's, and he's had the injury history that he has, and most relevantly, the injury that he had last year.
New England forever, Albert, was always, ignore the noise, manage expectations, keep things, don't make things a bigger story than they are with Bill Belichick. And you feel like even with Gerard Mayo and now Mike Vrabel, those guys are both semi-offshoots of that same principle. Do you feel like they knew what they were signing up for with Stephon Diggs and everything that was coming with it this offseason?
Sure. Yeah, I think they did. I think so. They have Todd Downing on their staff, who was with Diggs in Minnesota. They have Josh McDaniels on their staff. Ben McDaniels, Josh's brother, was the receivers coach in Houston last year when Steph was there. So, like, this to me was their one sort of dice roll, right? Like, where you look at the other guys they brought in, from Milton Williams to Robert Spillane, even Carlton Davis, who can be a little bit of a different character, but, is a real competitor. I think Steph was kind of the one where it's like, okay, like we've created this foundation of players that are going to help us establish what we need to establish. And here's our dice roll. I think the one thing that gave them confidence that, like, he probably wasn't, at the very least, like, it's not going to blow up what they're trying to build. It's his competitiveness. I don't think anybody would ever question Steph Diggs. Anybody who's been around him would ever question his competitiveness, his work ethic. He wants to be great. So, like, even if you were dealing with some ancillary stuff, you knew the sort of competitor you were going to get. Now, the ancillary stuff's gotten to them a little bit sooner than probably they would have liked. But it does feel like it's, and I like Steph personally, but it does feel like there's always something happening. There's always something going on, whether it's on social media, whether it's off the field, whether it's with the quarterback, whatever it is, you're always dealing with a little bit extra. And so I think what was important in this situation was that when Mike came to him, that he was truthful with them and that they could have a real conversation. I think until that happened, there was, like I've said a few different places, like everything really was on the table. But I do think for right now, they've moved past it. It's not gone, because I'm sure there was some sort of like, don't let this, what happen again. And Mike, Bobby, I think he'd be pretty direct about that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like gone, but I do think that they moved past it for now.
But do you think the Vikings will regret not having like Sam Darnold this year and handing the reins over to J.J. McCarthy?
So like they did make Sam Darnold an offer, and it was going to be kind of to make him their quarterback for this year, and that was going to be kind of it. And then they offered Daniel Jones $15 million on a 1-year deal. So clearly they even like kind of turned over some rocks on bringing Kirk Cousins back. Now they would have been willing to take on his contract as it was, but they did turn over some rocks on the idea of that. So, I think JJ had a very up and down year off, and, like he lost a bunch of weight, and, I think there were a lot of things that he, as a rookie in a new city, like kind of had to battle through last year. And, coming back off the injury, I think the Vikings were kind of like, okay, like, let's see where this goes. And I think, when you go back to March, it's kind of like, all right, like, well, we feel good about where he is, and he's starting to put the weight back on, and he's doing all the right things, and he's in the building every day. But we have this 14-win team here. Yeah. And we can't just like throw a year overboard with the group we have in the name of quarterback development. Like if he's not really all the way there yet, like then we can't just risk that and roll the dice on that. And then Jones gets a shot to start in Indianapolis, and Sam Darnold's got a chance to really be the guy, like a multi-year starter in Seattle. And the Cousins thing never really gets off the ground. So they wind up trading for Sam Howell. So that's their quarterback insurance. And Howell's got a lot of playing experience, so that does help. But I think their confidence in JJ has slowly built over the course of the year. And it was just sort of what sort of insurance policy could you bring in to protect yourself with him? Now, like to JJ's credit, like he's worked his ass off. He's been in the building every day. He's well liked, really good dude. You know what I mean? Like as far as the people there have seen him. And so he's doing all of the right things. And, I think now if you're them, you cross your fingers. But I think quarterback insurance was always part of the plan. It was just at what level you were going to get it based on the way last year went. And things did turn a little bit for JJ once he started traveling with the team at the end of October. But he went through a lot, and like so you just sort of cross your fingers knowing we've got a damn good football team here that's ready to compete for a championship, and now we'll see if the young quarterback's ready to play at that level.
The requisite Cowboys offseason question, Micah Parsons, is that deal getting done before training camp, or is this drag on into the preseason?
It's a good question. I mean, I would say it gets done because it has to get done, but then we saw what happened last year with CeeDee Lamb. Bobby, that thing was painful and long and went right up until the season, and we know how all of that played out. I think that the Cowboys sometimes make these things more difficult than they need to be. The market's the market now, and I think if you're the Cowboys, you have to have the full understanding that the average per year, the number there is going to have to start with a 4, because that's where Myles Garrett went. And, I think they get it done. Micah's not perfect, but he's a great football player, and he does care about being the best. And is he everybody's favorite in that building? Maybe not, but like, I do think Jerry understands like that he doesn't have very many guys like this, and he hasn't had very many guys like this. And so ultimately I think that gets it done. I think it's a matter of if not when. I have trouble guessing because of the way last year went. Like I would like to say yes, like they have some really hard discussions over the next month and a half, and on the doorstep of training camp, Micah's coming in with a new contract. But after what they went through with not just CeeDee, but with Dak too last summer, it's hard to really guess on a timeline.
So I guess that's my thing. I mean, Jerry, as successful of a businessman, he's been everywhere else. I mean, he knows that as deals get done, the market gets reset. I mean, were they actively trying to get a deal done with Micah? Because if they would have got it done before the Myles deal, I think that deal starts with a 3.
Right. And I agree. And I think that's the one thing it's kind of frustrating watching it, And sometimes owners just like keeping the money in their pockets for longer, as much as that sounds crazy. But sometimes it does happen where they like to have, like, I'd rather have my money in an annuity than in some player's pocket for the next 6 months. So I'll pay him in August.
Jeez.
Believe it or not, that does exist in the NFL. I'm not accusing Jerry of it, but it does exist. I'm kind of as baffled by it as everybody else, because I do think The Eagles are a great example of it, right? Like how aggressive they've been. I mean, go back and look at the deals they've done for guys like Devontae Smith and, Jordan Mailata, like where it looked like, wow, like the player's getting a lot when they do the deal, and then you look like 2 years later when the guy's contract actually would have been up and it's like, holy crap, they saved themselves a ton of money,
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to have faith in the player.
Yeah.
You got to have faith that the player is going to continue to be what he's going to be. And those are individual cases. Like I think with like a Devontae Smith or a Jordan Mailata, there is zero question, The Eagles knew the sort of guys they were, and you have confidence when you've got to purse people like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't like it is. I hesitate to use the word frustrating because it's not frustrating for me. I'm not rooting for anybody, but I can see where it'd be frustrating for people to kind of watch these things unfold. And it seems like the Cowboys make things a little bit harder than they need to be.
Albert, break time's over. Pound a protein shake, knock out some push-ups, get some cardio in, okay?
All right. Well, I got my cardio in. I'll get the rest done a little later in the day. Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Albert. Talk to you next week. That was Albert Breer, MMQB. Coming up next, a former Buckeye could be headed to the Hall of Fame. We'll discuss that. Quick hitters next. Morning Juice.
Hey, Max, you look absolutely dashing in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world?
You bet, Daisy. I'm ready as I'll ever be. And might I say, your purple tie really pops with your vest.
Thanks. I almost went with a cape, but didn't want to come across as pretentious.
Nonsense. Anyone in our line of work should rock a cape.
You might be onto something, Max.
Phew. So here we go. First day on the job. We've got this, right?
Right. Don't forget, we both graduated from Dogs Inc. with honors.
Which means I can guide my human around a busy city with ease.
And I can give my human a restful night.
I hope my human is kind and loving.
And I hope mine likes wet kisses and zoomies.
Ready to make a difference?
Born ready. Let's go.
Discover how extraordinary dogs like Daisy and Max change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
It's been a real journey since 2014 when I first had my injury. I realized that my home was just not working for me and that it was time to ask for help. Homes for Our Troops is really giving me my life back. The shower allows me to go in and turn around with my chair, pull down storage racks, automated door systems, hours of my morning given back to me. Adaptive sports are a huge part of my life, a huge part of my healing journey as well. Homes for Our Troops helped with making sure that I had a home gym so that I can continue to train. This past year, I was able to host Thanksgiving in my home. And it was the first time I was able to have my whole family in one place and I was able to contribute to the meal. There are a lot more veterans in need, and Homes for Our Troops is going to be there to help them too.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives. Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
Once there was a man who couldn't stand.
A mom who couldn't wait.
A scientific community that said it couldn't be done.
And then you.
And then I.
And then we.
Brought neuromuscular disease into screaming color with the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
For 75 years, our voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
We've willed the impossible into existence.
We've pushed the science,
raised the funds,
shifted the narrative,
and transformed the reality of life with neuromuscular diseases.
For 75 years, we've built communities together.
Established the field of neuromuscular medicine,
and made it thrive.
Call that a legacy.
Call it impact.
Call it momentum.
Just call it ours.
Because it's the generations of community heroes that give MDA the strength we have today.
And until neuromuscular disease is a thing of the past, you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
Proud to be your go-to sports addiction.
WBNS, WBNS-FM, HD3 Columbus.
The Fan 3, Ohio sports destination. If you're looking for the inside scoop on the Buckeyes, you've come to the right place. This is Morning Juice.
Morning Juice. Thank you, Albert Breer, for joining us there every week. Love having him on. Bobby, appreciate your efforts in getting him on every week. He really is. It's a great segment every time with him.
Shark, are you going to wake up to listen to Breer?
I am. I'm not going to wake up to listen to you, but I'll listen to Breer.
Yeah, I mean, Breer has far more knowledge than I do.
I might wake up to listen to This Date in History every day. I'll set my alarm at like 6:02.
The good news is you can watch it at any time. It's on demand for you now.
10 TV Plus, that's
There
right.
you go.
True.
Download the app.
But how can I do the YouTube chat live when I say, Bobby, it's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday?
Oh, yeah, when you say that, you're right, yeah. Who was the one he said died, and you and I looked at each other and wasn't sure if that was true or not? Was it Kate Spade? Is that what it was?
No, it was Drew Gooden.
No, Drew Gooden was this one. Today.
No. Oh,
no, today, when you said Kate Spade.
Yeah, Kate Spade died in
I know,
2018.
I didn't. But Shark and I looked at each other and we were like, wait.
Who's Kate Spade?
She's the purse, yeah.
Purses.
The purse?
She's designer.
Yeah, purse designer, yeah.
There's
I
purses.
guess I'm
called
not
Kate
in that world.
No, I'm just saying, like, I didn't know she
I
was
don't know,
dead.
Shark.
But
You look pretty good in a purse.
I've
she's only
never
been-
had a purse.
She's only been dead for 7 years. I didn't realize it, but yeah, I looked it up. Like, you and I looked at each other both kind of sideways. I guess yours because you didn't know her. Mine was because I didn't think she was dead.
Okay.
But Bobby was right. Let's do some quick hitters.
Morning Juice presents Quick Hitters.
Sponsored by Dr. Mark Levy. If you're snoring and not sleeping, call Dr. Mark Levy today at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP.
All right, gentlemen, we are going to start with one of our favorite people in the world. Bobby was a senior at Ohio State when James Laurinaitis was a freshman. James played all 12 games in that 2005 season, but didn't really play much until Bobby suffered that injury against Michigan in the final game of the regular season. Laurinaitis finished with just 9 tackles as a freshman, but he exploded over the next 3 years, totaling 366 tackles and 13 sacks while being a 3-time All-American. After a stellar NFL career, James is now linebackers coach for the Buckeyes, and he's on the College Football Hall of Fame ballot for the 7th consecutive year. Bobby, he won the Nagurski Trophy. He won the Butkus Award. He was a 2-time Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. It's time he gets in.
Oh, yeah. He'll get in eventually. It'll take some time, but the problem is the College Football Hall of Fame, they've been trying to push so many people in here throughout the years because it's not that old of a Hall of Fame. But he will get in. He has all the awards that you need, unanimous All-American, Nagurski, Butkus, all of those things. Like
Ronnie Lott.
Ronnie
Yeah,
Lott.
that's right, Ronnie Lott. Yep, that's right.
The impact. I mean, he's done so much. So I have full confidence that James is going to get in.
Deservedly, yes, he should. There's been some other Ohio State linebacker greats are already in there. Randy Gradishar, one of my favorites. I know he's in there as well. But yes, Laurinaitis belongs in that realm. He will get in. And yeah, you're right, Bobby. It's such the College Football Hall of Fame. So every year they induct, it seems like 20 people. I could be wrong on that. That's what it feels like every year. But they're catching up for years past.
And he's still relatively young.
Yes, he is.
When you look at the ages of the guys going, he's not 40 yet.
38.
38, yeah. Phil Mickelson is 54 years old now. He's won multiple Masters, won a British Open and a PGA Championship, but he never won the U.S. Open, although he did finish second 6 times.
That's amazing.
Next week could be the final time that Phil has a chance to complete the career Grand Slam because this is his final year getting an automatic exemption to the U.S. Open, and then he would have to go through a 54-hole qualifier to get in. Tito, he has missed the cut in the last 3 U.S. Opens, so it would be a minor miracle if he won next week at Oakmont.
I used to root for him, but ever since the Live Tour came out and things like that,
root for him even more.
I root for him even less, Bobby. I used to like Phil Mickelson. He was like one of the guys I was hoping he would get his.
So what's not to love about a guy who has to make a career move because he's gambled away most of his earnings?
That's a lot of things to love about that. You're right.
That's what
yes.
I'm saying. That's somebody that every American should admire. It's the American dream. Success story, achieve everything you want, and you squander it away on gambling.
He had to write an IOU to his caddy.
Did he really?
He didn't have the money to pay him.
Oh yeah,
that's
impressive when you're making over $50 million a year.
He hasn't been relevant. I mean, it'd be good TV and a good storyline if he's up near the top.
It would be great TV.
But I'm not going to sit here and root for him, though. I don't.
You're telling me that if you hear mid-round Saturday that he's like a shot or two off the lead, you're telling me that you won't pull for him at that point?
I would root for a Van de Velde type meltdown. Is what I would root for.
He's already had.
I know, and I'd root for more.
He hit a shot off of a tent in the U.S. Open. It was one that I Phil, put the driver away, buddy. Nope, we're going for it. Hitting bombs. right off the hospitality
he
tank.
absolutely win 10 cup in that hole. And yes, and I'm looking at it though, but like I really look, if he's in contention, I'll watch it. I will, but I'll be hoping he has some kind of meltdown, and that's what caused, and he ends up having a tough
Shark
finish.
is as big a live hater as anybody.
Yes.
If Phil Mickelson is in contention on Saturday afternoon, are you rooting and pulling for him to win?
Not a chance.
My gosh, you guys are heartless.
No, we're not heartless.
Listen, this is a man, I compare him to Howard Cosell. Boxing made Howard Cosell famous, and then he just ripped the sport apart. Phil Mickelson was made famous by the PGA Tour, and then he did nothing but shred the tour. I have no respect
Him and
for
Greg
that
Norman
man.
both. I feel the same way.
Yeah,
I used to like Norman. I did.
The difference is I never really cared for Phil. You say you did.
Yeah, I used to root for him.
Phil was in the unique club of like he was going to go down as one of the greatest golfers never to win a major, and then he's won 6.
Yeah. That narrative was there for a long time. Because he was number 2 in the world.
Oh, yeah.
He never got to number 1, but he was number 2 behind Tiger for years, and he couldn't get his first major. And then he won the Masters and did that 2-inch vertical leap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes, that was great.
Masters, won a PGA, and then was it the PGA he won later? British. Which one did he win?
PGA was the one he won 5 years ago, which is why he's still getting that exemption. I guess 4 years ago.
Yeah, so I mean, he's the guy. Oh gosh, our South African friend, Gary Player, always said there'd be a guy that won a major at 50. It was Phil.
And he did.
I think he was talking about Tiger, and then it was actually Phil that got it done. I hope he gets it done. It would be amazing. It would be a great story.
I would be shocked if he makes the cut.
I would be shocked. That's my point.
Given how he's been playing.
It would be shocking if he makes the cut.
Would you rather see Mickelson win one more major, or Daly? Who would you rather see win one?
But Daly doesn't play any of this stuff.
I'm just asking, like, if I gave you a choice, so let's say Daly qualifies, they give him a special exemption in the U.S. Open, whatever it is. Let's say there's something that happens in one of the majors, and Daly gets in. Who would you rather see win?
That happens?
I don't know. But who would you rather? Who would you root for more, Daly? Because Daly's also made some tough choices that have led him to his demise.
Demise? I would say that he's thriving.
So who would you root more for? Who's more likable for Bobby Carpenter?
Gosh, that's tough. I guess going for the fact that in my life, I would get to have watched 3 people win the career Grand Slam if Phil hit it.
Okay.
It would have to be Phil.
Right.
For the significance, because how many guys have won it? Is it 5?
I think he'd be the 7th.
The 7th after Rory now, right? Yeah. Rory was.
So I got a chance to see Rory, Tiger, and Phil all win.
Yeah.
I get to watch all of their career Grand Slam majors won.
Yep.
And there's only been 4 other guys that have done it. So
I mean, you think about Arnold didn't do it. Tom Watson didn't do it.
What did Watson? Watson not win the Masters? No, he won the Masters, didn't he? What did Watson not win? I know he had a bunch of British Opens, right?
He won 5 British Opens,
right?
And he won 8 majors. I don't know which one he didn't win. Arnold never won the PGA,
right? Yeah,
surprisingly.
Yeah.
Were you talking about Randy or Tom?
Yes.
Tom did win 2 Memorials, though.
That's key.
Tom won that twice? I thought he won it once.
So is Scotty.
Yeah, so is Scotty.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Houston quarterback C.J. Stroud has done very little throwing during spring practices because he has a sore shoulder. The Texans opened OTAs last week, and Stroud hasn't thrown passes during any of the media's watching periods, but Texans coach DeMeco Ryans said he has no concerns about C.J., quote, "It's just general soreness. We are taking extra precaution with him. He'll be good to go." Bobby, maybe he's not worried until he sees that his backup quarterbacks are Davis Mills and Keaton Slovis.
He's not worried. The reason they're not worried is because it's June. The reason he's not throwing in front of the media is because it's June. And so there was something else there, I think, that they would be into it. I don't get concerned right now. Now, if they were signing another quarterback, then that might be an issue, but they're not doing that, so they're fine.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine, too. It's stuff that you've got to find stuff to talk about, and you have to ask coaches questions about something this time of year, and that's why they're asking that question. Yeah, I'm with Bobby. Not a big deal on that at all. And if he's not throwing, at the end of August, then I'll be concerned. Then I'll like, hey, that's kind of weird, or whatever. He's not doing that. But the fact he's not doing it now, hell, I hope my quarterbacks aren't throwing right now. If they're veteran guys, been around for a couple of years, they don't need it. Like I want Will Howard out there throwing for the Steelers, yes, but Stroud's proven himself. He's fine. I'm not worried about it.
My sources tell me that Aaron Rodgers is just waiting to see what's going to happen in Houston. I've got great sources. The Phoenix Suns looked to Cleveland for their next head coach. Cavs assistants Jordan Ott and Johnny Bryant were the finalists to replace Mike Budenholzer, who lasted just 1 year in Phoenix. In the end, the Suns chose Ott, who is just 40 years old but has been in the NBA for 13 years. Tito, you have heard of Mel Ott. You've heard of Ed Ott.
Yes, catcher.
Guessing
Pirates,
you've never heard of Jordan Ott.
Actually, I have. I've known about him for hours now when I first saw this story. Jordan Ott, though, going to Phoenix.
How about Jason Ott?
Jason Ott. Who's that one? Is that the OTTE Ott?
There's no E at the end.
Who's
former Buckeye linebacker. I want to say from Ignatius, maybe? I think he's one of the GCL guys down there.
Like how long ago?
He was there before me.
I don't remember
that name at all.
When he hit Jamar Martin in practice and tore his trap, which I think is one of the most impressive feats ever.
That's his claim to fame.
They said it sounded like a shotgun going off.
How about Jim Otto? Have you heard of him?
That's another one, yes.
How about Otto Graham?
Jim Otto's number.
How about Graham Rahal?
Jim Otto's number.
Play the name game and connect it all.
Jim Otto's number was, don't you?
0-0.
Wasn't it 00? Yeah, it was 00. Yeah, for the Otto.
Ed Ott, shortest name in baseball history.
Is his first name Edward though?
They go with Ed. That's what
I know.
I
That's what I'm
heard.
saying, but
because Mel Ott still has the shortest name. He and Ty Cobb in the Hall of Fame, but I think Ed Ott officially is Ed Ott.
Okay, but not in the Hall of Fame.
Pirates catcher.
Yes, not in the Hall of Fame.
Not
no.
even in the Pirates Hall of Fame.
Where the hell were we?
Jordan Ott.
Jordan Ott, sorry. We ought to get back on track with that one, I guess. The Phoenix, I can't figure them out. They swing big, getting Durant, getting Bradley Beal. Hasn't worked out. Durant's going to be gone.
But you thought that Budenholzer would turn them around.
I really did.
He's an accomplished coach.
Yes, I really did. Yeah. I'm surprised Phoenix has not been better, but it's going to be a thing where they're stuck because of Beal's no trade. They're going to find a way to try to work around that, try to convince him to go somewhere that he probably. But that's the problem with giving these guys the no trade clause. That's the reason not many guys in the NBA have them, right? Beal's got it. LeBron had one. I'm sure he still does whatever his contract, but not many guys have no trade clauses, which makes it really hard. Now, on top of that, and guys don't want to get traded certain places like Durant did this past year.
That's why they put them in, so the guys can push back and control where they go. So I get it. If you're that good, you're able to get them. Very few people, like you said, do they have them in there because it gives the players a lot of control and their ability to manipulate where they go. Matty Spiel wants to win, man. He'll spend the dollars.
He will spend the dollars, that's for sure.
Are you spending them wisely? Well, that may or may not matter, but you know what? That's what he's doing. He's trying to win, so I give him credit.
All right, coming up next, we'll get to that story about Ohio State scheduling and what Ryan Day had to say about the CFP. We'll do that next. Morning Juice on the Fan.
You know what hope is? Hope is action. Carving a path forward, even when it's hard.
And kids who still know how to dream. They're the best pathfinders of all.
So at Child Fund, hope means helping millions of children living in poverty worldwide to grow up healthy, educated, skilled, and so all those good things can come true for them. Safe.
And that means safe at home, safe at school, and safe online.
Hope means walking this path together. All of us. Because when we work together, we can do so much more.
That's right. Hope includes you.
Child Fund, because we need each other.
To learn how Child Fund works with children in 23 countries to help them achieve their full potential, visit childfund.org. That's childfund.org.
Hey guys, 13-year NFL veteran and Super Bowl champion Jason McCourty here, and I'm the Innovation Ambassador at FAIR, Food Allergy and Research Education. I would say the most challenging thing as a parent of a kid who has a food allergy is probably the ignorance that I myself had in the beginning. I didn't know what anaphylactic shock was. I didn't know the dangers, let alone the things that she needed to be able to have a normal life. When you go to drop your kid off, and every single time in the beginning, we'd have to go through everything she was allergic to. Preparation is everything. And me, for playing football for 13 years, it was all throughout the course of the week. It's getting ready for game day. When you're on the field, you're playing for your fans. At home, you're playing for your family. My playbook: read labels, keep it allergy friendly, and have an epinephrine nasal spray as a backup plan. Because when my family's safe from food allergens, that's the real victory. Visit foodallergy.org to learn more.
Lexi spent more than 6 years in foster care.
Before I was adopted, I felt alone.
With help from the Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption, Lexi now has a forever family and the foundation for a bright future.
Adoption changed me for the better. I feel like I can be whoever I want to be.
You can help find permanent homes for children still lingering in foster care. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
Hi, this is Martina McBride. With online news, social media, and texting available 24/7, the world seems to be spinning faster and faster every day. And it can be overwhelming. Sometimes we just need to unplug and take a break from our electronic devices. It can help reduce stress and allow us to reflect on the things that are really important in our lives.
This message brought to you courtesy of the United States Air Force.
Bobby's knees hurt from doing battle with some of football's toughest warriors. Tito's knees hurt from begging Bobby to let him host this show.
Oh, pick me! Oh, I know, me!
This is Morning Juice.
All right, Morning Juice, Tito, Bobby, Sharp with you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you in the chat for participating as well. We appreciate that, as always. Love us, hate us, just watch us and talk about us.
That's your, you know what, though? Those are aspirational goals. Love me, hate me, I don't care. Just talk about me.
Look, Bobby, I've said it before. I don't care what you say as long as it's about me. I really don't care. I don't care. Say whatever you want about me.
That is an unbelievable line.
But that's me. You're different than that, I would think.
Shameless self-promoter. Any publicity is good publicity, right, Jeff?
That's why we talked about the perm. Think about how much, if I went with that perm thing, if I actually did it, I would look ridiculous. I'd look ridiculous-er. But you know what? I would do it. You know why? Content.
For the that's...
There was a great content thing yesterday. It happened, by the way, Bobby.
What happened?
I don't know if I should tell the story or not. I'm leaving yesterday, and there was a putter against Tim Hall's desk. Okay,
putter?
A putter.
I don't even know her.
I brought in a putter about 5 months ago on a Sunday for that machine we've got in the back there that's been there that no one ever uses. There was a putting machine back there.
One of the many games here at the Dave & Buster's
so
extravaganza.
I brought Artie in with me one day for a short Sunday show. He wanted to hang out, and so I brought the putter so we could putt back there. One of my old putters.
Why didn't you bring like a 7-iron?
I should have. Anyway, I'd forgotten about him. Walking by yesterday, and I see the putter there against Tim's desk, and I thought, that's it. That's the one. I wondered where that was. So I grabbed it, and Fish says to me, hey, you just putting around today kind of thing, joke.
Joking, yeah.
Right. And I said, no, I think this is my putter. I said, it's against Tim's desk, but I think it's mine. And I said, maybe I'll text Tim and ask him. He said, oh, no, just, take it and text him later or whatever, That's all right, yeah. And then Fish says, because it's not yours, it'd be great content. Sure enough, I get home. Around 2 o'clock, I get a text. Tim Hall saying, hey, Tito, weird question. Have you seen my putter?
It's amazing. I wonder if Fish tipped him off to that.
I think that's what I'm saying.
Because I'm thinking about this, I guess.
It turned into a big thing.
Yeah. It's
okay, I got some
show prep.
I got some violent texts from Tim.
Violent?
All
violent
caps.
Or vile?
Yes, all caps. Tito, you don't take things off of people's desks.
Was it yours?
I thought it was.
Okay, so how convicted were you of that being your putter?
I was about 50-50.
That's okay. If there's something I think is mine and I'm about 50-50 that it could be, might not be, I'm going to wait and ask a question before just making the assumption that it's my property.
We all learn from our mistakes.
That if you're over 50 years old, I
Barely,
learned that when I was like 10.
Yeah, but sometimes you forget things. Anyway, so I end up bringing it back in. I was like, Tim, I am so sorry. I thought this. Turns out the putter I brought in that I thought was that one, because his is like this 2-ball Odyssey putter.
Yeah.
Distinct look. I've got one like that. Now I know it's in my dad's garage in one of my old sets of clubs. But the one I brought in was like a youth girls putter. Looked nothing like Tim's, the one that he had.
They make putters for women?
Yeah, they do. It's what's from a girl's set, like a young girl set that I bought for Charlotte years ago. That's what it was.
Two-ball Odyssey?
No, that's the thing that was funny about it. It looked nothing like Tim's. I thought it was anyway.
Okay, there's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't have grabbed this putter.
I understand that now. I understand that. But I walk in with the putter.
Because Odyssey doesn't make...
No, I know, but I thought it was the one. Yes, I thought it was the one that I had but it's in my dad's garage. It's an old one I've got also. It was a 2-ball. That's the one I thought I brought in, but that wasn't it. So anyway, I bring it in, and
wipe that blood off, Rick James.
I know, dude. I'm sorry. And
this is amazing. By the way, if you need to get a good look at Tito just wiping his bloody nose away.
Anyway,
all the rampant drug use over the years.
It finally caught up to me. I come in. There's somebody walking out of the station as I'm walking holding the putter. And it's somebody who I didn't know. I don't think I've ever met this person before. I'm walking in. I'm like, hey, how you doing? He says, good. How you doing? He said, oh, I heard the story already.
So he obviously knew who you were.
Yeah, well. Yeah.
The putter thief.
Right. And so then they talked about it in the 3 o'clock hour. And the more I thought about it, the more I'm convinced that Fish set me up.
I think the putter was placed there
I think
strategically
nope.
so that you would maybe apprehend it?
I think Fish saw the opportunity, and I think he knew it was Tim's putter. He knew what I was doing was nefarious. Did I use that word correctly there?
I think so.
Thank you. And I think that I've been set up by Fish. Tim was legitimately angry because he said that he went looking around the station for it, thinking somebody had literally stolen his putter, which I guess technically they had, but it wasn't really stealing.
Job.
Well, so I brought it back in. I apologize, but I still think Tim's legitimately upset about it. But it was content for them in the 3 o'clock hour yesterday. They brought it up. Where'd we get it? I don't know how I got on the subject of that.
Somewhere where you were talking about in your younger life, you used to abuse cocaine, and that's why you have these bloody noses. And then you stumbled on a white ball with a white powder, Odyssey, 2-ball putter. You stole Tim's putter.
Borrowed it. Ohio State football has made some changes to their non-conference schedules in 29 and 30. They've added Navy and Youngstown State to 2029.
I thought we had the resolution to never play Navy again.
I don't know. You're right. We probably should have. And then move the game with Nevada to 2030. So now the Buckeyes have got the Eddie George team coming up with Bowling Green. They got Youngstown State because of the Trestle tie. They've got New Hampshire with the Ryan Day tie. They do have one big-time game, it looks like, on the schedule for the foreseeable future every year, except for 2029, when the non-conference schedule is Navy, Charlotte, and Youngstown State. Bobby, do you like?
So they got Navy on there.
I know Navy's on there, but that's not really a.
It's not a P4 game.
It's not. It's not even a P5 game, really. I think, but it's still. So that's the change they made. They also have Georgia in 30 and 31. Do you think those Georgia games get played?
It's 25. I think so. I don't think people are looking. I mean, it's 5 years out. I think the Bama series gets played after the Texas series, and that 1 year off in between, I think they ultimately do. That'll be the Georgia series will be under hopefully a new TV deal, so those won't be big news.
Oh, you're right. Good call on that one, Bobby.
Well, yeah, it's just math. So hopefully that'll be something that we'll be able to enjoy, and hopefully Shark will still be around for those.
He'll be around. You mean you're talking
alive?
Yeah.
I've been around here.
That's 6 years.
He'll be around in 6 years.
Probably.
If you
I don't know if I'll be around.
Let me ask you this: you had to make a bet right now.
Who dies first?
Me or Shark? Yeah.
Oh, that's tough.
I don't even know what the Vegas odds would be on that. Let's hit it with the bloody nose.
Exactly, 1-1.
Right.
Do you have any long-term health problems right now?
The fact that he was probably 100 pounds overweight. For
the diabetes, I probably did. It's probably.
Do you have diabetes?
Yeah, type 2. Yeah.
What about type 3?
I've got type B also over here. Apparently, my blood type is A for awesome.
If he's got diabetes, then Shark, you got a good shot at outliving him.
What else?
I think that's the only long-term health issue I've got.
All right.
How about you?
Do you have sleep apnea?
Okay, that's another one too.
Apnea.
Yes, I do.
All right.
I've got a CPAP at night. Yes. By the way, CPAP, diabetes, 54 years old, ladies line up. You know what I mean? It's like that right there. That's part of the holy grail of attractive men. 54.
Right.
What?
Do you have substance abuse issues?
You think I'm gonna say it on the air? No, defined substance. No, I don't. No, I don't.
Here's the thing.
No,
on average, individuals with type 2 diabetes at 50 years old have a reduction of life expectancy of about 6 years. So, Shark.
So what's the what are we up to now? Like 78 for men?
I don't know. I think it actually dropped in the last couple of years. It's a real testament to where we're at as a country.
72. 72 is the target date, Tito.
72.
When were you diagnosed? Were you diagnosed at 50?
No, I was diagnosed before 50.
Yeah, that's not. I think that might be worse.
Let's take it down to like 68.
I think I was probably.
You better retire
47.
at 62 because
he has a goal to see Artie graduate right now.
Graduate 8th grade.
Oh, 8th.
I don't have any. If I see him, it'll be through the earth.
Here's what's amazing.
Yeah,
is when Artie graduates, you'll be Shark's age right now.
That's true. If Artie makes 8th grade.
No. Oh, you mean graduate from high school?
Yeah, not 8th grade.
Yeah.
If we're celebrating 8th grade graduation, we have bigger issues anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Again, when you start having kids in your 40s.
Although having kids later in life keeps you alive longer.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that what they say?
Well, it's true for women. I'm just going to say.
I had my first one at 18.
But then you also had Megan when you were a little older.
I was 33 when Megan was born.
Okay.
Brian Day says. So I'm sorry. Who's the bet? Are you going to take
Brian Day or
Ryan Day?
Day?
I said Ryan Day. No, it was a pause there. But are you taking Shark or me? In the who's going to die first?
I'm gonna take Shark. I'll probably get a little better odds, but he has no comorbidities. I mean that he's worrying about right now. He's fit as a fiddle over there. Hey, did you pass your
I'm
balance?
like Albert Breer.
Did you pass your balance test today?
I haven't done it in a long time, Bob.
What balance test?
You stand in the shower, put your arms out in front of you, and stand on one leg.
Okay.
And count to 10. You know, the first thing that goes, I know what
balance.
you think is the first thing that goes when you get old. It's actually balance.
So you're doing this on your own. Not like someone says, hey, you need the doctor. You said you're in the shower, so I'm guessing a doctor would say, hey, I need you to do a balance test and report back to me.
Jan's in there too.
Well, I'm sure Jan's in there, right, and probably a camera. But yeah.
She's in there holding me up.
Right, then you never fall, right. Brian Day, how about that? He has said that he believes the Big Ten deserves 4 guaranteed spots in the CFP. And there's talk about that 4-4-2-2, whatever, 1-3 method, where the Big Ten and SEC would each get four bids in there automatically. And his point was, look, we've got 18, we're a deep conference, 18 teams, a lot of good teams in here. We deserve to have 4 in every year. I agree that the Big Ten likely deserves 4 every year, Bobby. But I'm not a proponent of guaranteeing 4. Now, Day's comment also was, he said that, if you're guaranteed 4 spots in our conference, that will increase the likelihood, I'm paraphrasing here, of playing games like Texas. If you know the top 4 getting in, then playing a more meaningful non-conference game, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, whatever, it makes more sense.
It's not as punitive.
Right.
However, I would argue against that. Like the top 16 teams are getting in anyway. And so if you're losing more than 2 conference and a non-conference game, being 3 in totality, that's going to be really the only thing, if you're Ohio State, that's going to prohibit you from getting in. Most 9-3 teams in the Big Ten or the SEC are going to get in.
You think most 9-3? Well, I'm trying to think about that.
Look at the rankings last year.
Right. I'm saying on a consistent basis, though.
I like the 15+1 model, where you take the best 15 teams and then one group of 5.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
want
like the automatic bids. I don't like
the 5 and 11. You don't like?
I don't like if I don't know. Name a team. Iowa State happens to go to the Big 12 championship and win it with a 9-4 record. I don't think that should automatically get them in. Are they one of the best 15 teams in the country?
The only reason I like it is because, well, I guess it doesn't make the regular season more important, regular season games, because still
it makes them less important. That's why you can lose them. But it allows you to see bigger and better matchups, which is what people want. So it gives you one thing while kind of diminishing the other. Like I said, I'm not overly opposed to this, but I think, so Shark, you don't think if you win your conference you should get in?
Not automatically. Not if, like I said, not if you're 9-4. I want the 15 best teams. And if Ohio State goes 9-3 with a loss to a team like Texas, they're probably one of the best 15 teams in the country.
Yes.
But when you say we deserve, I don't know that you deserve it.
There's an old adage that said deserving ain't got nothing to do with it.
Who said that? Bear Bryant?
Jay-Z may have said it.
Clint Eastwood.
Oh.
Yeah, I almost want to give it to the Duke, but actually...
Pale Rider or Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
One of them. Let's take a look. Week 16 last year. It'll come up. All right, week 16. Oh, goodness. So, Alabama at 9-3 to 11 didn't get in because of the automatic
But they
qualifiers.
would with a 16.
With a 16 they would, yep.
Ole Miss would have gotten in at at 14 with 9-3. South Carolina at 9-3 would have gotten in. And Missouri at 9-3, Illinois at 9-3, Syracuse at 9-3 would not.
I'm not even talking about record, Bob. I'm just talking about the best 15.
And I get you, and that's why my point is record's going to play into that. It's like, who did Illinois play in their non-conference last year? And who did they beat them? And, like, that comes down to it. Because if you're losing more than two conference losses, if you get 3, then that's one thing. Now, and that's why people might not schedule up. And so they played Kansas, who actually was ranked 19th.
At least
Kansas was good for a while, yeah.
They were
Power
good.
5.
Now, they struggled last year, but, I mean, no one's confusing Kansas with, Texas. But
it's better than Mercer.
It is. 100% it is. And so I'm just not a huge fan of the auto bids, like of getting 4 in for a conference. Like,
but are you okay with the 5 and 11? Or do you think, like Shark is saying, just get the 15 best in a Power 5 team?
I don't hate that because the 15
Not
best
Power 5, Group of
Group of 5. Yes, I'm sorry.
But the 15 best should comprise, or 16 best, or 15 rather, should comprise the 4 other conferences. If it doesn't have their conference champ in there, your conference was bad.
Exactly. But I don't think that the Big Ten, now Big Ten's got 18 teams, so chances are 9 out of every 10 years they're going to get 4 teams in, but I don't think they should automatically get 4 teams in. What if it's not a big year?
They could get 5.
Yeah, you're right. There is. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm with you. Yes, I do think that
Thanks,
part.
Tito.
I don't know if he's the guy you want on your side.
I got a putter I'm trying to sell you. They will get 4 in most of the time, and sometimes 5, even if they don't do this. I agree with Ryan Day that yes, the Big Ten deserves 4 teams in most years. I will agree with that. I don't like the auto bid thing either. The auto for 4. I do like the conference champion getting in. I think
are there still conference championships where they're going east and west, or the
north, south, whatever it is?
Divisional. I don't think
not the Power 4. They aren't.
That's what I'm talking about.
Was the ACC
because, Bob, there were so many years when a weak team came out of the Big Ten West.
I don't think anybody does that now, so you wouldn't have to worry about that Big Ten West team winning.
So if you're in first or second place going into the conference championship game, chances are you're going to make
the top 2 are definitely getting
the top 16, the top 15.
Yeah, I would say so. Do you think Illinois was one of the best 16 teams in the country last year?
No.
Neither do I, but they would have gotten in.
Honestly,
we don't know if they would have gotten in or not.
Well, I'm saying
under this,
the 9-3 16
despite everything that went on last year, if they had a 16-team playoff and the best 16 would have gotten in, Clemson was ranked 16th.
Okay,
so they would have been the 16th team, and all 16 teams would have gotten in.
Because the Group of 5 team was
Boise was 9.
Yeah, still ranked higher.
So that's what I've said. If you take the top 16 teams from last season heading into the final standings before the playoff, the last ranked team was, well, that can't be right because South Carolina, they didn't get in.
Okay, but everybody in the top.
Miami, Ole Miss, and South Carolina would have gotten in, and then Clemson would have as well, which did because they won the ACC and they were finished 16th.
So everybody in the top 11 got in, and then Clemson got in.
Yes.
That was
last
the 12-team playoff.
I want to see him get it right. I do think, though, I like the conference championship element of it. Look, I don't like the conference championship games they play. I don't like the fact they add that extra game in there. I think with the 16-team playoff, it's less necessary. But if you're going to play it, I want the winner having a guaranteed spot. Even though I know they're both probably getting, like you said, Shark. It'd be very difficult for anybody in the Power Four.
I still think conference championships mean something. You get a ring. I think. What if you've got first and second place in the Big Ten with identical records and they haven't met in the regular season?
Then it's the eyeball. I mean, they're both getting it's an eyeball test.
Champions?
I don't know if that matters as much anymore to me.
Probably not. And teams probably aren't thrilled about playing them going into a 4-game playoff.
Yeah, I would contend. I think honestly,
if it's not going to give you anything, then you don't do it.
Bobby did it.
That's my point. Is if you're going to play that game, and if you can lose it, and it's a negative, and you would knock you out, and winning it doesn't guarantee you a spot in there. Winning it probably helps get you there. But
I have to think if you're in first or second place, because we're not doing divisions anymore. If you're in first or second place in a power conference, you're going to get in if you win your conference championship.
Well, and that was the point that the SEC
Clemson wouldn't have last year. Under 12.
Yeah, you're right.
The point the SEC was trying to make, too, when they were talking about this is that, why have a conference championship game? We know our top two are getting in. We would rather almost have the 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5 kind of games and have other guys improve their resume.
About that, too.
Right.
Which nobody cares about. Why do you want to have a conference championship for third place?
You can say that you're third and you finished fourth, and the reason you do it is for those auto bids. But if not, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Do you think that Ohio State last year benefited from not playing in the conference championship? Or is that overblown?
We'll never know, but in hindsight, I'm glad they didn't.
It looks like that, but if they would have won and gotten the bye and been where Oregon was, would that have made a difference?
That's true.
Well, I don't know.
We'll never know. Right. If Ohio State had beaten Michigan, would they have won the national championship?
Right. I contend they wouldn't have. I think they wouldn't have. I think it was galvanizing for that team to go through what they went through. And I think it makes it a more meaningful national championship to overcome what they overcame. I think this 2-loss Ohio State team, the championship is more impressive to me than if they were an undefeated national championship team because of the fact they had to overcome that adversity.
Well, they did beat, 7 of the top 8
They did, but I'm saying,
country.
but if they would have run through, though, and ran the table, I'm more impressed with what they did in this championship than if they were undefeated. I'm more impressed with that. With your team, I was more impressed, though, too, with how many close games you had. I'm glad you guys didn't blow everybody out by 70 points.
They were undefeated, though.
They were undefeated. No,
exactly.
I'm saying, though. But I'm saying, if you would have gone through them, won every game by 70 points, Bobby, and then won the championship.
So that's less impressive. Just utter domination.
It's
kind of like
the
2006.
Yeah, or the 2001 Miami Hurricanes that just beat the doors off everybody.
Yeah, the Hurricanes were all that.
And that's less impressive than winning close games.
Than you guys winning the way you did?
I would say less entertaining, maybe, but less impressive.
Yeah, you guys doing that and then beating that Miami team? Yes. To me, that makes it a more special championship than if you guys had gone the route Miami did and beat everybody by 70 points and then win the national championship by 70 points.
Pretty good, Shark. Now win by 70.
He's arguing about being undefeated, not being as big a deal. And yet you were undefeated.
This year. And I'm saying this year thing. Yes, I'm talking about this year. It could change year to year. I think that the adversity, you guys had to overcome adversity too, Bobby. Yes, you're undefeated. But you guys damn near lost about 7 games that year.
Yeah.
Am I wrong on that? Is that right?
I don't know if it was 7, but.
Okay, well, Cincinnati, Purdue, right?
Illinois.
Illinois was another one there. Michigan.
Wisconsin, Penn State.
Okay, that's 6 right there. Yeah. So I'm just saying, it made it, to me, it makes it more special and it's more revered.
Well, okay, more revered maybe. I'll give you that. We finally landed on a term I can agree on.
Eventually, I will get to a word that makes sense.
It's amazing because you were a writer, too, for a while.
Was. And the key word there is was.
I used the past tense. I'm glad you're picking up on that.
Right up here on the wall and behind me, all the awards I've won for my writing. You can see it right there if you look real closely on the camera. Coming up next, we'll tell you what's got us juice. Morning Juice.
My muscles ached. I was tired all the time. My son had a full-blown asthma attack. It came out of nowhere.
The unsettling thing about some symptoms is
I had a fever and these terrible headaches.
You don't always know what's causing them.
It was Lyme disease from a tick bite.
I had Zika virus from a mosquito.
He had a reaction to cockroach allergens.
Threats to your health can come from unexpected places. Get the facts. Visit pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association.
What's this? A letter from the Selective Service System? Ah, not now. Hey, Steve, it's me, Future Steve. You're me? Yes, and you need to register with SSS or we won't get our dream job in 10 years. Save our future.
If you're a man aged 18 to 25, visit sss.gov to register today. It's required by law, and it can open the door to many benefits, like federal government jobs and training.
That was easy. Thanks, Steve.
When it comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
Heather and I had an argument just like any other couple. I was lost. I had snapped. I had a gun, and I was going to take my own life. Heather helped me realize that there was still a life to live, for the better of myself, my family. My weapon is now safely put away.
A moment of crisis can happen to anyone. Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
Dangers rarely lie out in the open, so no matter where you live, it's important to know harmful pests can hide in and around your home.
Here I come!
Rodents and cockroaches are drawn to food waste and garbage.
I know you're out here.
Ticks lurk in tall grasses, and mosquitoes lay eggs in standing water.
I can hear you.
Rodents, ticks, and mosquitoes can all spread dangerous diseases.
I gotcha.
Seek the facts you need at pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association.
Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is a common seasonal virus, but it can have major implications on a patient's heart health. Most RSV cases involve mild cold-like symptoms, but up to 160,000 adults are hospitalized each year for more serious cases. And RSV can escalate chronic health issues. If you're over the age of 60, talk to your doctor to find out if the new RSV vaccine is right for you. And learn more at heart.org/RSV.
There's danger out there. It lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Bobby is the All-American male. Tito pulled a hammy getting his mail. This is Morning Juice.
Morning Juice. Final segment of the program. And that's normally when we do this.
What's got you juiced?
Sponsored by Billiards Plus. Find your next grill and everything you need for the master griller. Billiards Plus on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin.
I suck at grilling.
So that's one of the many things.
I'm just, like Bobby, I got bumped off my grill one time by a friend at a party we were hosting. Well, my own grill.
Were you his best man?
No, not this one. I wasn't. This was the one who we had the cat story about.
Do you still talk to him anymore?
The guy who bumped me off the grill?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very close. One of my best friends, yes.
Well, I mean, you were a best man you don't talk to anymore.
No,
so saying one of my best friends, Shark Tank, like, that doesn't mean anything to me.
You're right, it doesn't. Okay, yeah. He came over and he said, "Hey, Tito," just kind of like tapped his left arm and said, "Hey, why don't you go over and man the fruits and vegetables for a while? I got this for you." And he took over and was sweating profuse. It was a 4th of July thing when we had people over to go over.
Born on the 4th of July.
Overrated, but yeah. Anyway, Phil says, bumped off your own grill. Do you sleep in your bed that night too? He might have. I'm not sure on that one, but yes. I'm not good at those kinds of things. I don't fix things. I don't build things. I don't grill.
You don't do yard work.
I don't do yard work. I don't like to. I don't.
Is there anything that you do?
Yeah, what are you good at? How do you
content.
Improve your marriage or your
content.
family? What do you contribute to your family?
I work more. I work a lot.
Okay.
In that way, I can get out of doing a lot of things. I just got put on tilt because my wife just sent me a text saying, "Can you pick up Artie from football camp today?" And now I got to rearrange my day a little bit to make that 7-minute drive to go over there and get him and bring him home. But whatever. I'm not going to complain about that. I don't know. What day is it? It's Thursday.
Shark, what Sly's got to say?
You can't train toughness in November. You train it in the winter, you train it in the spring, you train it in the summer. Because when you need it, it's in freaking November.
Who you guys? Who you betting on to win the NBA Finals?
Who is it? OKC in Indiana?
Yep.
I think it'll be OKC in 6.
I got OKC. I think I'm hoping you go 7, but I could see. I think it's probably likely going 6.
Let me tell you this.
Yes.
We have 30 teams in the NBA, right? 15 in the East, 15 in the West. You play everybody in the opposing conference twice, a home and home during the season. Oklahoma City was 29-1 against the Eastern Conference this season.
Okay.
Who's the one?
The only loss?
Indiana?
Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oh, here we go.
They were
Come on,
no,
Cavs.
I'm not. This isn't to promote the Cavs. They were 2-0 against Indiana. I don't see. A lot of people are jumping on that Indiana bandwagon, and I get it. Regular season doesn't mean anything in the postseason, but I just can't see Indiana beating Oklahoma City 4 times in this series when Oklahoma City lost 1 game to the East the whole season. I'm just saying. My money on OKC. I'm going to go 5 games. Can't figure out the identity of these Guardians. They lead the American League in throwing shutouts. All right? They had their 8th one last night, 4-0 win over the Yankees. And yet their team ERA ranks just 9th in the league. They can't hit the ball. They don't have any offense. They're in 60 games this year, they've scored 2 or less runs in 20 of them.
Wow.
And you don't win very many 1-0 and 2-1 games. They are 11th in the league in runs scored. They are 11th in the league in batting average, and yet they're winning. They're 33-27, even though they're a minus 13 on the scoreboard. They've allowed 13 more runs than they've scored, and they're 6 games over 500. You look at the Reds are 3 games under 500, and they're 23 runs over. So what does that tell you? They're
when you score the runs matters.
Yeah, well, they're winning blowouts and losing close games. And the Reds are like 5-10 in 1-run games, and they're 0-5 in extra innings.
I think I saw their
Bobby's got a great stat about extra innings tomorrow. How's that for a tease?
That's a mega tease right there.
It really is.
That's a savvy veteran move by you. Nothing I didn't expect from you this late in your career.
I dropped it into Shark, and he was amazing. As I was reading it,
fascinating.
I had to reread the stat twice to make sure that I was understanding what it was. Like I read this. I used to put like DMSO on, like horse liniment, when guys will wear that on their
horse liniment.
Yeah, like what they rub horses down with it with DMSO in it to play.
Okay.
And I remember reading it. It said not for use in horses, for human consumption. And I'm like, hold on, not for use in horses.
No, it was the other way around.
Consumption.
Yes.
And I'm like, and my one of the guys is like, you can't eat the horses. You're not supposed to eat the horses. You're putting this on. I'm like, well, who the hell is eating the horses anyway?
Yes. Not in this country.
Not in this country. But I had to read it 3 times because I didn't understand. I'm like, the horse is eating the people? Like who's eating who in this analogy here?
Anyway, let me just finish this, Bob. I'm going to say this because David Bell's big problem was he couldn't beat the Brewers. And
how about Albert Bell's?
The Brewers always finished in first place.
Don't do this.
Terry Francona having a problem beating the Brewers, too. The Brewers have won 12 straight series against the Reds. 12 straight series. They've won at least 2 out of 3, if not sweep. They are, I've got it written down here. The Brewers are 42-16 in their last 58 games against the Reds. That's not good, Bob. Now, what has you juiced?
What has me juiced is in the chat, as we were talking about that often. I don't know what masculine thing he can actually do.
I won a sports trivia contest recently.
Going undefeated isn't as impressive as going 14-2.
Unless it's the O2 team. Because
you guys
those
didn't go
games were
14-2.
close. That's what I'm saying. Like the asterisks in a side is wait, no. And then
makes perfect sense.
Revered, okay. I will use that word as appropriate, but as impressive, Phil J said Tito's wife dresses him. Like physically puts him on a bed and then slides his underwear on like an infant, which is amazing to think about that. Having 4 kids, I'm like, that is unbelievable.
Maybe he still wears a pull-up.
Absolutely.
Pot kettle.
That's got me juiced. Getting a chance last night to hang out with one of my buddies from college whose son is Caleb's age. They live up in Warren. The Howland area came down. Went nice little pool night last night, Shark. Beautiful weather, hang out, had some food.
It was a little cloudy, wasn't it, last night?
It was a nice sunset, though, at least where we were. and went off the diving board a little bit.
You did?
Yeah.
You flip?
Yeah, I did 1.5. I always do my 1.5. I can do a double off the high dive. I always try to do it every year. It takes me till the end of the year to get the courage up to do it. And I had a couple drinks last night, so I didn't want to try to do that then. Because there'll be a day where I won't be able to do it anymore, and I'll be sad when that happens. But that had me juiced. It was the first time I'd been out at the pool and gotten in the water and had a good time doing that. So that was a lot of fun. And, and enjoyed my date lunch with my wife. That's always a fun thing. Oh, and then we did some power washing yesterday with Caleb. I taught him.
Was it? Oh, okay. I thought we were talking something else there.
You
said you and your wife had a great lunch. We did some power washing. I didn't know what.
I had a great lunch.
They weren't long to pause
and then
there.
We did our power wash, then we got a power washer. My man Cam gave us one from down the street. So it's like, hey, can we power wash these chairs that we have? I'm like, yeah. And then we had Caleb do it, and he had a good time and did a good job. So
would that be Cam Atkinson?
It would be Cam Atkinson.
How about that?
Yeah. So
just throwing that out there.
Name dropping with Bobby Carpenter.
No, listen, he's trying to get rid of it. Needed space in the garage. I said, dude, we'll take it. And it'd be great to spray the boat off with down in Portsmouth. So excited.
Does he have a team, by the way? Or is he a free agent?
He is a free agent, and I don't know if he'll end up playing anymore.
About done.
We'll see. Yeah. I mean, dude, Cam's in his mid-30s, so we'll see what happens. I'm not sure how much, who's out there, what's going on, but maybe it's it. And if it is, you know what? It's a heck of a career. Maybe we'll have him on the Morning Juice to talk about his career sometime. Thidoff, what's got you juiced?
What's got me juiced? Well, the power wash thing for sure, because we got a power washer recently too, and those things are great.
You watch Heather use it all the time.
She did use it. Yes, she's well. Look, because we have different expectations. We have different standards, Bobby. Okay, we have different. That's the real thing here. There's different standards. There are things I can walk by and won't bother me that bother her. And so,
you're the worst.
No,
that is. Listen, man.
No,
I tell my kids, if you see a problem, solve a problem. Do not walk by a problem.
But he
doesn't see the problem.
It's not the problem. I don't see the problem.
Then you are the problem.
No, then you're the problem. We can have different standards, Bobby.
No,
we can have different standards.
Yeah, if you want to live. You want to live a slovenly lifestyle and just live in a pig pen, that's fine.
I've heard that Tito lives by the motto, it's not that I'm lazy, I just don't care.
There's certain things, yes, that is accurate. There are certain things.
Gross, dude.
No, I'm not. First of all, we're not talking about living in squalor. Did I use it right there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that. All I'm saying is that, like with the power washing thing, she will see the concrete back patio thing, and she'll think, wow, that's disgusting. I need to wash that off with the power washer. And I would look at it and say, it's going to rain eventually. It'll start to wash off.
Rain's not taking that stain off.
But it looks a little better, though. Well, what? I'm just like, that's the thing, though.
No,
so that's not.
You probably walk by, clothes on the floor. You're the guy that doesn't replace the toilet paper.
I know I replace the toilet paper. Let's stop on that right there. Okay. I definitely replace the toilet paper. I'm not a savage.
Do you take the shopping cart back into the grocery store or into the rack?
Yeah, I do put it away. And you know what I do a lot of the time? If I'm walking in and not needing a shopping cart, I don't need one. I'm getting a couple things. And I see an elderly person out putting their stuff. I'll take that in for you.
Older than you?
Yes, elderlier. Yes, like Shark's age. If I see that person out there leaning against the cart because I have a hard time, I will say, hey, let me take that in for you.
Well, you've learned from the master.
I have. So, yeah, that's why it's good to be married to me. That's another reason. I'm a good person, Bobby.
That's key. But I've tried to teach my kids, see a problem, solve a problem. Don't wait for someone else to do it.
I know.
Take ownership over your life, Thidoff.
If I see a problem, Bobby, I solve it. Check out the beat while my DJ revolves it.
You and Vanilla.
Yes, that's it for us today. Join us tomorrow, Morning Juice.
Okay, let's go. Top row.
EYECARE.
Good. Next row.
AM America? iCareAmerica.org?
Yes. Eye Care America helps seniors who haven't had a medical eye exam in 3 or more years. They also help those with an increased risk for glaucoma, and the appointment is often free or at no out-of-pocket cost. It's easy to see if you qualify. Go to EYECareAmerica.org.
Diane from Michigan, a disabled senior citizen trying to get by. Henry from Florida, a veteran fighting to make ends meet. Elena from Arizona, a mother struggling to feed her daughter. Hi, I'm Connie Britton, and I support Feeding America because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year, like Diane, Henry, and Elena. Learn more at feedingamerica.org. Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
As we wonder why our kids are struggling, someone is getting bullied. As we discuss how to improve their mental health, someone is being harassed on social media. As we wonder why they're skipping school, someone is crying themselves to sleep. Knowing the signs is the best way to prevent bullying.
Please just leave me alone.
Learn the signs at sandyhookpromise.org.
Yo, I'm your old basketball. Haven't seen you out on the courts in a while. Why not pass me over to Goodwill? Donating me helps Goodwill's mission to provide career training and support services right here in the community. And that's a slam dunk. Donate today. Hey, I got next.
To find your nearest Goodwill locations and to learn more about our mission, please visit goodwill.org. Goodwill, where your things start new lives.
I thought mixing bleach with my floor cleaner would take the stain out.
When my youngest ate the dog's medicine, that was a new one.
I was trying to protect my garden, but I accidentally sprayed myself with pesticide.
So I called 1-800-222-1222, the poison helpline.
A poison expert helped me figure out what to do next.
I was connected to someone who spoke Spanish.
They answered my questions.
It was free.
It was confidential.
It was real help in real time.
Keep the poison experts in your pocket. 1-800-222-1222.
My name is DeMar Hamlin. I play for the Buffalo Bills, and I play safety. CPR saved my life. I've teamed up with the American Heart Association as a national ambassador to help create a nation of lifesavers, turning bystanders into lifesavers through CPR education and access to AEDs. Nearly 3 out of 4 cardiac arrests that don't happen in hospitals happen in homes. Join me to ensure everyone has the chance to live longer, healthier lives. Visit heart.org/nation.